Welcome to Comical Recovery. I am your host with the most trauma, comedian Jessica Byrne, creator of the upcoming cartoon Bud Ease, winner of multiple East Coast comedy contests, and 35 consecutive years of life experience in the School of Hard Knocks. Subscribe. Doesn't cost you anything. Hit the like button for recognition. Leave me a comment in the comments below for a shout out. Tell all your friends about your new addiction because sharing is caring. This episode of Comical Recovery is all about emotional eating. If the only laps you manage to do are from the couch to the refrigerator, and that's your Indy 500, then we have something in common. Except for I do not have a couch. I just have a bed. That's probably my favorite place to eat and probably has a relationship with other traumas. In fact, I know it does. Not saying that it has to have that for you, but it certainly does for me. Emotional eating started for me at 8 years old after, well, let's just be honest, sexual trauma as a child. Yep, we're going deep, fast, and hard, guys. Pun intended. Anywho, emotional eating definitely started for me after that stopped. I don't know why that might sound weird, but when I say it out loud, it feels like it should sound weird, but it is what it is, guys. That's what happened. The chaos stopped and I needed something to fill that void. And as an 8-year-old, that was food. Food was it. And I just still to this day can tend to eat until I feel like I'm going to explode. And I haven't thrown up outside of when I was a drunk. And I'll be honest with you, I loved throwing up as a drunk for a couple of different reasons. One of them was to make more room for more alcohol. And the other one was I felt like I did abs without the work. Yes, I am a sick person, and that's okay. I'm okay with it, and I'm the one that has to live with me. So, yeah, that's my relationship with that. But for food, for some reason, I think it was because I liked it so much when I was drinking, the, purging part of that I didn't want to like it with just food alone. I was a little bit afraid of that. I was going to say a little bit scared. Either of those would have worked, I was a little bit afraid of the purging and being too delighted in that, and really indulging in that as a habit for me. But if you have that problem, I only have one suggestion, and that would be, seeing a therapist. What I do know about that issue is I have a few friends with it, and it sounds to me from their perspective like it's always about control. And like I said, I am just as sick as you because there is a part of me that wishes that I had that problem, that wishes that I could find some way to control my life with that issue. Comical recovery, guys. I am not an expert and I am not necessarily well. I'm just trying to get well. And getting well is all about being super, super honest, even if it is, well, if it sounds insane, because most of the things I'm going to talk about probably at some point are going to sound insane. Back to overeating without purging. One of the things that I learned on this journey about food is when we are eating our primal brain, which is, caveman days brain, is meant to recognize that when we're eating, we're not getting chased by lions, tigers, and bears. Oh my. But seriously, that's how the brain works. It's telling us a signal that we're safe, we're eating, we're okay right now. And for me, that is a huge part of why I love to eat. I love to eat because I feel safe. It's a comfort for me. And, it makes me forget about if I'm sad. It actually helps me indulge in feeling bad and also in feeling disgusted, which, if I am reading my notes correctly, all affect certain chemicals in your brain. So I'm trying to read a couple of things at once. Yes. It lowers the endorphin if you're sad. It makes you have less dopamine, making you feel worse or bad. And it lowers the serotonin, which engages in feeling disgust. And also it lowers the oxytocin, I guess. Is that right? Or am I reading that wrong? Yeah, I think it lowers the oxytocin, which is it induces a fearful state. So the only thing you're really engaging more of is the dopamine. And as I said in my last podcast, if you listened, if you didn't, then now you'll hear it here. There are always ways to supplement these chemicals that are naturally created in your body and in your brain. So for dopamine, which you get from eating, you can also set a goal and achieve it. I love to have my steps. I know that sounds really silly, or maybe it sounds really great, but when I meet my step goal, it makes me feel really good. And when I don't, it makes me not feel very good, to be honest with you. So I try to meet it every day to the best of my ability. And if I don't meet it, I try not to beat myself up about it. That's the one thing I've learned so far in my alcohol recovery and my drug recovery, is that beating myself up about not doing something well or good enough, or not doing something at all, even if it's a simple task like my dishes, and that can be the goal that you might want to achieve for the day. It can be so small and attainable that it's still going to release that dopamine for you. But just make it attainable. Sometimes I make goals so small that I have to up the ante eventually, because it makes me feel ridiculous for only doing that really small thing every day. The other thing that helps with dopamine is getting sleep or taking a bath, writing a to-do list, meditating, creating something like music, art, or writing. At the end of the day, I try to put solutions for all the podcast topics that we have here. And prior to making the bad decision of switching my addiction, which if you listened to the last podcast, you'll know what that is. And if you didn't, I'm not telling you. You should go listen to the podcast Addiction and you'll find out. Like I said there, I'm not recovered, I'm recovering. And recovering is about awareness and being honest. You can't change what you're going to ignore. But if you're rigorously honest, then you can only do the thing that hurts you for so long until the pain gets great enough. That's what they say. I don't like that saying yet, but there's still time to change my mind. Prior to switching my addiction, I was thinking that I should have boundaries around my food. And find out what affects my mood. That was my solution to the problem. Instead, I just decided to switch. That was my solution to the problem. There aren't always the right solutions. They're just solutions. Sometimes they're temporary, and I'm hoping that that's the case for this solution. Other solutions are activities that recharge you. And I think the biggest problem with finding solutions, or the struggle, it's not a problem, it's a struggle to find new solutions to things, because when we give up addictions like eating or smoking cigarettes or smoking pot or drinking, at least for this addict and alcoholic, those tasks seem so easy, and there's such a gratifying and simple reward, and it doesn't always cost you a lot of money, at least for me, and for sure as a girl. It doesn't cost me anything to get drunk. All I have to do is go and put on some lipstick and go down to a bar. I'm just being really honest, That's all it really costs. Calling a friend, I don't have to do much to get a drink if I wanted to drink. I probably wouldn't have to do much to smoke some pot if I wanted to smoke some pot. I definitely wouldn't have to do anything but ask for a cigarette. And all I have to do is open up my refrigerator to get some food. So to have solutions like achieving a goal or taking a bath or meditating, that seems ridiculously hard to me. Or creating a piece of art, I don't want to put in all that work sometimes. And I'll go back to the bath thing. For me, that has trauma around it. And you know what? Quite frankly, art has trauma around it too. Recent trauma and old trauma. So what are the solutions when you have trauma around some of those things that you are trying to replace these bad habits with more positive habits? The first thought that comes into my mind is the book Atomic Habits, which suggests that I think it's stack habits is what they refer to it as. So music with your art, that's always really helpful for me. It kind of tones down the old mom voices that are telling me that it's a waste of time and that it's no good, or maybe the dad voices that says, I copied that. Trauma can come in all forms, and it can be so simple as a discouraging sentence that makes you stop doing the thing that you really enjoy. So here we are together in this place, working out our trauma. If you have suggestions or things that work for you, this is a safe place. Help me find new discoveries. Share with me what you do. Share with everybody else what you do. Or ask questions, because I love to research new things and it'll give me something positive to do. So I just want to go ahead and thank you for joining us on this episode of Comical Recovery about emotional eating. Thank you so much for listening, for sharing, for subscribing, and passing me around like your favorite doobie. Remember, laughter's the best medicine, and sharing is caring. See you next time for more Comical Recovery with your friend and host, comedian Jessica Byrne.